Chapter 1. I lay in the hospital bed, touching my flat belly, my heart aching. In the end, I couldn't save the baby. The nurse, administering the four, tried to comfort me. Don't be too sad. You're still young. There will be other children. Tears silently rolled down the corners of my eyes, soaking the pillow and forming a small stain. I nodded and took out my phone to send Joel a message. Let's divorce. We've lost our child. And there's no need for this marriage to continue. It seemed he was already on his phone because he replied quickly. Lisa, are you trying to get my attention right now? I don't like you like this. I've explained it before. Elena has cancer, and her only wish is to have a child. How hard is that to understand? Besides, Elena said that once the baby is born, it will be given to her mother to raise, just to leave a memory for the elderly. It won't affect our marriage in the slightest. I didn't know if I should call him shameless or simply naive. Who could tolerate having an illegitimate child in their marriage? I let out a cold laugh. Keep telling yourself that lie. Joel had always been stubborn and wouldn't let anyone argue once he'd made a decision. My words had clearly angered him. After all these years, you're still so petty. Can't you learn to be as generous as Elena? And you wonder why I never went public about us. Someone with your attitude would just make me a laughingstock. Generous? In a relationship between two people, did it have to include a third person to be considered generous? Maybe fearing that I had forgotten, he clarified. Back then, you wanted the scholarship for disadvantaged students, and she didn't hesitate to give it to you. I hadn't forgotten that. But the scholarship wasn't given to me willingly by Elena. She lost it because someone reported her for false information, and the counselor canceled her spot. In Elena's retelling, the truth had been twisted. She claimed she gave it up because she felt sorry for me, and wanted the grant to go to someone who needed it more. She always liked to twist the truth. At the time, being the one who benefited, I didn't try to explain. After all, it was about saving face for a girl. After getting together with Joel, I explained what happened to him. At that time, he just waved it off, unconcerned. It's in the past. It doesn't matter. Then he moved on top of me, swallowing whatever else I had wanted to say. Now he brought it up again, only to convince me to agree to his plan of giving Elena a child. No, it didn't matter if I agreed or not. He had already decided to fulfill Elena's wish. Suddenly, I lost any interest in continuing the conversation and started scrolling through short videos. Tonight, Joel's bold confession at the awards ceremony had gone viral, and netizens had already edited it into clips that were blowing up online. Say what you want, but Joel's actions show real commitment. An idol with no scandals all these years, only announcing his love after winning Best Actor. This is too good. I used to just think he had a handsome face, but I didn't realize he was such a man. Heartbroken fans, please join me. We're all shipping them now, right? He's not just an idol. He's an actor, and now a Best Actor winner. At almost 30 and only now announcing his relationship, that's rare enough. Everyone was tagging the same account, Joel's girlfriend outside the industry. I clicked to see, it was Elena's account, with an official verification. Barring surprises, Joel's career was about to reach new heights after tonight. But it no longer had anything to do with me. Out of sight, out of mind, I closed my phone and slept well. Chapter 2. I dreamt of a little girl. It was dark in the dream, yet she stumbled toward me, her tiny body swaying. As she came closer, I could see her chubby little face covered in tears. She reached out her small hand, her voice soft. Mommy, hold me. Unable to suppress the sadness within me, I held her and wailed. I didn't know how long it lasted, but eventually, she lifted her head from my embrace, waving goodbye. Mommy, I'm so happy I got to be your child, but it's time for me to go. And just like that, her small figure disappeared in front of me. No matter how much I cried or screamed, there was no response. I suddenly woke up, realizing I was clutching my blanket. It was just a dream, with sleep now impossible. I sat up and gazed out at the stars scattered across the night sky. I wondered which little star my daughter had become and if she was looking down at me just as I was looking up at her. The thought that Joel didn't even believe she ever existed made me feel utterly pathetic. 3 years ago, I was a no-name actress in the entertainment industry. The best opportunities one got were for supporting roles in low-budget online dramas, which barely made any impact after airing. To help Joel get a chance to debut, I begged every friend I knew, but with no influence. No one was willing to give him a break, until one day, a director approached me, implying that a big shot would be attending tonight's dinner, and maybe there'd be an opportunity for Joel's debut. Even though I knew it wouldn't be that simple, I went without hesitation. During dinner, I discreetly dodged the big shot's wandering hands, but my thigh still ended up bruised. After a few drinks, I suddenly started bleeding. By the time Joel rushed to the hospital, I had just finished surgery and lay weakly in bed. The doctor looked at me, shook his head, and sighed. This miscarriage has done serious damage to your uterus. You may find it very difficult to get pregnant again. Joel heard everything. His eyes were red as he quietly wiped my body. When his hands reached my bruised thigh, he froze, seeing the marks. At that moment, his gaze toward me changed. I hurried to explain. It's not what you think. I didn't do anything to betray you. I didn't know if he believed me. He just pulled me into his arms, his breath hot against my neck as he said, "Let's get married. I swear I'll protect you with my life." The memory ended abruptly. I touched the ring on my hand, finally sliding it off. They say love has a 7-year itch, but we didn't even last 3. I endured until morning. Joel messaged me during the night, just a few words. "Have you learned your lesson?" Calmly, I blocked him. When the nurse came in for rounds in the morning, she frowned at my dark circles. "Did you not sleep all night?" I nodded. "Next time, let the doctor know if you're having trouble sleeping. You haven't recovered yet, and not sleeping is no good." The young nurse was cute, and she liked to chat with me when she had free time. Suddenly, she got excited looking at her phone, then seemed to remember to keep her voice down. She leaned closer and whispered, "Guess who my friend saw today?" I was puzzled. "Who?" The nurse gave me a sly wink. "That actor. Joel, the one who won Best Actor a few days ago. He came in this morning with a girl to check if the hospital was suitable for getting pregnant." Chapter 3. After speaking, the nurse shoved a high-resolution picture in front of my eyes. In the photo, Joel was gently holding Elena's arm, his face full of tenderness as he whispered something to her. Elena, looking shy, was lifting her hand to feed him a piece of bread. The atmosphere between them was no different from that of a real couple. The intimacy between them didn't hurt me. What hurt was that Joel had given Elena that string of black prayer beads. It was my grandfather's protective talisman, something he had left for me. When I was young, I often fell ill, and my grandfather had made 3 pilgrimages to the temple to pray for those prayer beads for me. Strangely enough, since wearing the beads, I had gotten sick much less often. Last month, Joel kept getting hurt on set, so I had taken off the prayer beads and given them to him. I hoped they would keep him safe. I never expected to see them now on Elena's wrist. I had to get those beads back. After asking for the address, I changed into casual clothes and took a cab to the hospital where they were. According to the nurse, this was the best maternity hospital in the city. Joel had clearly put in some effort. Maybe it was my luck, but as soon as I got off the elevator, I ran into Elena. She clearly hadn't expected me to come. A trace of unease flashed across her face, followed by a look of smugness. "Long time no see, Lisa." Joel. I had no intention of making small talk with her. I strode forward, grabbed her wrist, and went to take off the prayer beads. "Give them back to me. You don't deserve to wear them." Elena, of course, refused, holding on to the beads with all her strength. "Joel personally put them on me. Who are you to take them off?" In the struggle, the black beads scattered everywhere, clattering loudly against the white tiles. I trembled as I raised my hand and slapped Elena. "How dare you wear something that isn't yours?" The slap echoed clearly, leaving a red mark on her face. Through gritted teeth, I demanded, "Pick them up. Every single one. Not a single bead is missing." Elena stood there, at a loss, her expression that of a child who had done something wrong. "Have you had enough?" Joel's voice came as he rushed over, holding a form, his face full of anger. He quickly stepped in front of her. "Can't you just discuss this at home? Why do you have to make a scene in public?" Elena immediately hid behind him. "I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I didn't protect the prayer beads you gave me. It's fine. They're just beads. Hearing that, my heart sank into despair. He knew how much those beads meant to me. My eyes burned with fury. Why did you give them to her? Joel just looked down, not daring to meet my eyes, saying nothing. The more I looked at him, the angrier I became. I grabbed his collar and shouted, "Say something! Why did you give her the beads?" My shouting attracted onlookers, whispering among themselves as they watched the commotion. Joel quickly pushed me away, hastily putting on a mask. I fell to the ground amidst the scattered beads from his push. It hurt. It hurt so much. Joel saw me fall and took a step forward, wanting to help me up. But when he saw the camera flashes around, he ended up pulling Elena away with him instead. Despite the pain, I knelt on the floor, picking up each bead. Some had already cracked under me. I held them tightly to my chest, as if my grandfather were still there with me. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Blood! Somebody! Quick, there's a lot of blood!" After this farce, I ended up staying in the hospital for over half a month. During that time, I had a lawyer draft the divorce papers and had them sent to our home, but the delivery status kept saying unclaimed. It was then that I decided to check up on Joel. One look at his social media, and I understood he wasn't home because he was traveling with Elena. They were vacationing in Sonia. Joel announced on social media that Elena was terminally ill, with not much time left. He lamented the unfairness of life, which would soon separate two lovers, and praised Elena's optimism and strength. This moved countless netizens and earned him even more followers. I saw that every one of his posts about their love was tagged with drowning little fish. Only then did I understand the reason Joel had agreed to have a child with Elena wasn't just because they were college classmates, it was also because Drowning Little Fish was Joel's first fan. Besides me, in other words, apart from me, she had been by his side the longest. They often chatted, and I had assumed it was just a way to keep in touch with his fans. Now I realized they had been flirting all along. Realizing all this, I took Joel off my blocked list. Don't forget to find some time during your vacation to come back and get a divorce. Chapter 4. The moment I sent the message, Joel called me, "Lisa, I've been holding off contacting you these past days to give you time to think. And this is how you repay me?" I was speechless. Seeing I remained silent, he seemed to take a step back. "Fine. Why am I arguing with my own woman? We'll be back tomorrow. Let's meet at home." Before I could respond, Joel hung up. Sometimes, I seriously wondered if Joel had acted in too many of those CEO dramas and thought his domineering behavior was somehow attractive. Whatever. At least everything would be resolved tomorrow. After packing my things, I returned home, only to find that everything had changed. The green plants I had carefully nurtured on the balcony were all withered. The soil cracked. Clearly, no one had watered them for a long time. In the bathroom attached to the bedroom, there was a contact lens case. It must have been left by Elena. Cosmetics were scattered all over the dressing table, clearly having been used by someone. This was Elena's way of challenging me. She purposely left traces to tell me she had already moved in. What's the point of competing with her? A marriage that had already soured wasn't something I wanted. But she had succeeded in disgusting me. Seeing the wrinkled bed sheets, I resolutely decided to stay at a hotel. After getting a room key, I stood waiting at the elevator when I heard a man's hesitant voice. "Is it Lisa?" I turned and saw a man who seemed equally surprised. I hadn't expected to see him here. Bruno, my high school deskmate. He and I were quite the pair of frenemies, always fighting before becoming friends. In high school, I was often late, and with the strict rules enforced by the discipline head, points would be deducted every time. So, latecomers couldn't use the main entrance, they had to jump the back fence. One day, in my rush, I jumped down without looking, landing right on top of Bruno. From then on, he was always hanging around me, but his grades were so poor that eventually, his family sent him abroad, and we lost touch over time. He handed me a business card. "Bruno, position, producer? I've seen your work. You have a lot of potential. So why did you leave the industry?" We exchanged numbers, and I finally answered. "I got married." "So?" Bruno paused for a moment, lowering his gaze. "Oh, you're married." Realizing his rudeness, He quickly added, "Congratulations." I didn't know if it was just my imagination, but I thought I saw a trace of disappointment and sadness on Bruno's face. Suddenly, an urgent ringtone went off. Bruno looked at his phone, then back at me. "I've got something to take care of. Call me, no matter what it is. I'll help you." After saying goodbye to Bruno, I returned to my room, and as soon as I sank into the bathtub, Joel called again. "I changed my flight. We just landed. Come pick me up from the airport." I refused flatly, replying, "Is it that hard to catch a cab?" My words caught him off guard. "It's rush hour. It's hard to get a ride." Then wait. I hung up the phone and sank back into the hot water. Chapter 5. The next day. At noon, I arrived at the house as planned. The table was already filled with steaming dishes. Elena, hearing the noise, emerged from the kitchen wearing an apron. "Lisa, you sure know when to arrive. I made lots of dishes today. Joel is still getting ready. Just sit on the couch for a bit. Lunch will be ready soon." It was as if she had already made herself the lady of the house, and I was merely a guest, coming over for a free meal, with nothing better to do. I picked up a spray bottle, filled it with water, and went to the balcony to water the plants. I figured I might be able to save at least one of them. Hearing the sound of slippers, I saw Joel coming down the stairs in his pajamas, shouting to the kitchen, "Elena, once the food is ready, you should leave. Lisa will be back soon, and she won't be happy if she sees you." His tone was that of a man giving orders to a servant. Elena pointed awkwardly towards the balcony. "Lisa, she's been here for a while now. I'm sorry. I just wanted you two to have a good meal, so I made a few extra dishes. I didn't expect Lisa to come over." Seeing Joel frown, Elena quickly responded, taking off her apron while stifling a sob. "Lisa, there's still soup on the stove. Don't forget to bring it out later. I'll leave now. I don't want to interrupt your time together as a couple." She sounded pitiful, her voice full of grievance. It was as if I had bullied her. Joel clearly fell for it. Seeing I wasn't showing any particular anger, he waved her off casually. "Forget it. Since the food's done, let's all eat together. Lisa's not someone who's petty." While saying that, he looked at me, guilt written on his face. I crossed my arms, watching Joel, finding the scene in front of me utterly ridiculous. It was like watching a man from the olden days commanding his wives. I took the divorce papers out of my bag and handed them to Joel. "I'm not staying for lunch. Just sign these. We need to finalize this soon." He took the papers without even looking and tore them up, throwing the pieces on the floor. "Lisa, it's just a child. Is it really worth this? The doctor said you can't have children anymore. If you want to be a mother, we can raise this child together. Why can't you understand my intentions?" Joel's words were like needles piercing my heart. With tears in my eyes, I looked at the torn papers on the floor, like the pieces of our broken marriage, impossible to put back together. I clenched my fists, looked him in the eyes, and said, "The doctor said it's difficult to conceive again, not impossible." Joel's eyes filled with impatience. "Same difference. The doctor was just being polite. You can be so naive." Suddenly, I felt an urge to prove myself. Placing my hand on my stomach, believe it or not, there was a child here just half a month ago. After I said that, the air became eerily quiet, and I could hear my own heartbeat. A large hand covered my vision as Joel looked at me, eyes filled with worry. "Honey, did you lose your mind? Come on, let me take you to the hospital right now." Chapter 6. As he spoke, Joel grabbed his car keys and tried to pull me towards the door. I pulled my arm free, my emotions spilling over. "On the day you announced Elena was your girlfriend, I had a car accident on my way to the award show. I lost the baby." Suddenly remembering the medical report in my bag, I threw it in his face. "See for yourself." Joel bent down and picked up the report. When he opened it, the words "pregnancy termination" stared back at him. He looked up at me, disbelief written across his face. "Is this real? We really had a child?" I closed my eyes, my silence answering all his questions. Suddenly, Elena made a retching sound, an inappropriate noise in the heavy atmosphere. Joel and I both turned to look at her. She had run to the kitchen and was vomiting bile. She looked like someone in the early stages of pregnancy. I suddenly felt a deep sense of pity for myself. I had thought Joel only cheated after his public announcement, but maybe it had started long before that. All this time, I had been naive, believing myself to be happily living in his fairy tale. Shifting my gaze away from Elena, I forced a bitter smile. Congratulations. Looks like you're going to be a father again. And it's only been a couple of weeks. Joel picked up on the sarcasm in my tone and hastily tried to explain. No way. I never betrayed you. She must have eaten something bad. Elena rinsed her mouth with water before returning to us, her hand on her belly. Joel, did you forget? On my birthday, we accidentally. She didn't finish her sentence, but the implication was clear. Joel stood there, stunned, scratching his head in confusion. That day, I did come to see you. But after that, I blacked out. I really can't remember anything. Finally, he met my eyes, his head dropping, and he muttered, I'm sorry. I knew exactly what he was apologizing for. May 28th, it was Elena's birthday and my grandfather's death anniversary. Every year, Joel and I would visit my grandfather's grave together, telling him how we had safely and happily spent another year. But this year, Joel didn't come. He said he had a meeting with a Hollywood director, a chance he couldn't pass up. Over the years, I had seen how hard he worked. Naturally, I wanted him to seize every opportunity for better development. Only today did I realize that the so-called Hollywood director was Elena. It turned out, from beginning to end, I was a fool. Chapter 7. Remembering the unclaimed delivery. I told Joel to go pick it up. As soon as he stepped out, Elena's expression changed. Smugly, she touched her belly and delivered the final blow. You've been married to Joel for years. Do you know why he never made it public? I had asked Joel this question before. He was an idol with a huge fan base of young women. Any romantic scandal would undoubtedly damage his career, so we both agreed to keep our marriage private, even deciding not to hold a ceremony. Later, as his career took off, and he was constantly traveling, the topic just never came up again. He had promised to announce our relationship once he won the Best Actor award. He kept that promise, only his partner turned out to be Elena. But regardless, this was between Joel and me. It was none of Elena's business. I responded coldly. This is between Joel and me. I don't need a third party interfering. Elena didn't get angry at my words. Instead, she smiled. It seems you're still in the dark. Since I'm in a good mood today, I'll be kind enough to enlighten you. It's because Joel thinks you're dirty. People who use their bodies to climb up always leave scars behind. He's afraid that if he made your marriage public, people would dig up dirt on you and how you traded your body for opportunities. How could he face the public then? I felt a sharp pain in my chest, almost losing my balance. So, it turned out that Joel had always assumed that I had slept with that big shot producer. And that's why I lost the baby. And I had done it all for his debut. That's why he later worked himself to the bone to succeed. He didn't want to live in the shadows anymore. He didn't want to wear the green hat of being cheated on. Now everything made sense. Elena looked at me with pity in her eyes, like she was looking at an abandoned stray dog, clueless about its plight. Just then, Joel opened the door and entered. I straightened my back, not bowing my head, and said, You can go ask the director whether or not I was taken advantage of. Don't throw mud at me without proof. I stepped forward and took the envelope from his hand. If you find me so repulsive, why don't we just get a divorce right now? Inside the envelope was the divorce agreement I had mailed him earlier. He and Elena had been vacationing, and he never collected it. But now, it was finally coming in handy. Hearing this truth laid bare, Joel was overcome with shame and anger. He glared at Elena. Did you talk nonsense in front of my wife? Elena dared not admit it. She hurried to explain. No, it's not like that. Lisa is smart. She figured it out herself. While speaking, she even cast me a pleading glance, hoping I'd help her cover it up. How could that be possible? Watching them fight was my new favorite pastime. I turned my head, pretending to gaze out the window, ignoring her. Joel wasn't stupid either. He could clearly see Elena's silent plea, and all his rage naturally landed on her. Joel gathered his strength and slapped her hard. If you can't cover up for your mistakes, then don't talk nonsense. Careful you don't bite your own tongue. Elena clutched her face, glaring at me with hatred in her eyes. Chapter 8. It had been over half a month since I made up my mind to get a divorce. I didn't want to waste any more time on this matter, I just wanted to end it quickly. Thinking about the acting career I had put on hold for the family, I decided to make use of Joel one last time. I sent all the prepared information to the paparazzi. This time, I wanted to be on the front page. The paparazzi worked quickly. In just over 10 minutes, headlines like Best Actor Secretly Married for Years, High-key announced relationship with outsider were trending. Wow. Just because someone has no scandals doesn't mean they're innocent. Maybe they're just good at hiding. I just started shipping this couple. And now it's a bad ending? And with a homewrecker too? To the person above, it's not a bad ending. It's just shameless. They could still be together for all we know. But I feel sorry for the original wife. I searched the original wife's name and realized I've seen her in a drama before. She only played small roles, but they were quite memorable. The paparazzi exaggerated everything. They turned me into the devoted wife who helped Joel build his success and was willing to stay at home to take care of the family. I took out a mirror, looked at my still youthful face, and was dissatisfied. How blind people are. I clearly still looked dazzling. As for Joel, whatever popularity he gained by announcing his relationship at the award ceremony was now turning into backlash. Soon enough, fan clubs across the country announced they were disbanding, with some even turning against him. Not dedicated, using a body double even for back shots. Being arrogant, not memorizing lines. Relying on voice actors to fix it in post. Privately messaging fans, the leaked conversations showed that Joel used his personal account multiple times to meet fans in secret, even hinting that they should give him expensive gifts. One thing after another became the final straw that broke the camel's back. The luxury endorsement, fashion brands, and high-budget scripts he recently got all terminated their contracts because of his scandal. Joel quickly found himself facing massive penalties for breach of contract. And Elena wasn't spared either, despite being a nobody. She couldn't escape the internet's wrath. Netizens dug up everything, her family, her job, even the bad things she did in school. Vain, always claiming to be a rich heiress, liking to boss people around. A bully, whenever she saw a girl who was better than her but had no background. She'd gather her friends and drag the girl to some secluded spot like a restroom or alley to beat her up and humiliate her. The worst part? People found out she had faked her cancer diagnosis online for 200 yuan to create a positive, bravely battling cancer persona. She ended up having to delete all her social media accounts. But before she did, Elena tried to drag me down with her by posting one last message. Do you think Lisa is any better? She's just a whore who used her body to get ahead. And guess what? Because her private life is so disgusting, she already lost one baby. She's infertile. That's heaven's punishment for her sins. You keyboard warriors think you're so smart, right? Go dig! I guarantee you'll be shocked. Chapter 9. I became the next target of the online hate campaign. At first, netizens did find a lot of photos of me attending social gatherings, and even a signed consent form for my abortion surgery with my name on it. This left netizens stunned, and they turned their attention to my social media accounts. Guys, who else feels like they've been munching on drama for days, only to find out everyone involved is trash? I've been helping the wife roast the scumbag and the homewrecker, but now it feels like being lied to by the cheater. Same here. I feel like I've been used as a pawn in this. Something tells me there's more to the story. Let's just wait for things to unfold. I had anticipated being dragged into this, but I'm a minor celebrity, and having been out of the public eye for so long, not many people would be willing to speak up for me now. I had to gather evidence and prepare my final statement to clear my name. But I was surprised when I opened Twitter and saw that several prominent figures had tagged me. There were directors and actors I had previously worked with, and even Bruno, the director, regarding the recent online controversy involving MS. Lisa, I would like to clarify, the gathering in question was a crew party. There was no inappropriate behavior at the table or otherwise. At the time, MS. Lisa didn't even know she was pregnant, and working continuously led to a miscarriage. It had nothing to do with anyone else. Actor A, Lisa was very caring on set, always sharing snacks with us. When she wasn't working, she'd go back to her room. I rehearsed lines with her several times, and she was great. Please don't spread rumors. Bruno, MS. Lisa is an actress I greatly admire, hardworking, unafraid of challenges, and with excellent line delivery. Though her acting still has room for improvement, I hope to have the opportunity to work with her someday. The director and other actors probably came forward to help clear my name under pressure from higher-ups. After all, if I had to wash myself clean by telling the truth, it wouldn't look good for anyone involved. But I didn't think I had enough clout for this. So I messaged Bruno, "Thank you. I didn't expect you to speak up for me." His reply came quickly, "I told you before. If you need anything, I'll always help." I felt a warm sensation in my chest, but I still had to ask what had been bothering me. "How did you convince the director and the others to speak up for me? Won't the higher-ups be in trouble?" He refused to elaborate, only sending a short response, "Just remember to treat me to a meal next time." "No problem." After replying to Bruno, I put down my phone and posted all the evidence I had gathered to clear my name. My reputation finally turned around. Chapter 10. During this period, thanks to Joel's title as an award-winning actor, our divorce lawsuit remained hot news, and I managed to secure a few good scripts and shows. But he disappeared. I chose to attend a popular live interview show hosted by a well-known interviewer. I always believed that sincerity is the ultimate weapon. In the interview, the host threw the first question at me, "Lisa, you've been out of the spotlight for years, and now you're making a comeback due to your divorce. What do you think about that?" Facing the camera, I admitted frankly, "At first, I really resisted putting my personal affairs out there for the public to debate. But you can't live in the past forever. You have to move forward." Some people move forward with their own efforts. And for me, it's with a divorce. That's all there is to it. After hearing my response, the host leaned in closer. "Netizens are saying you're an ambitious woman, and that's why Joel cheated on you. What do you think about that?" I mentally sighed, what a question, but I kept smiling. I've always believed there's nothing wrong with a woman having ambition. Men need to fight for their careers, and women do too. As for cheating, that's a personal choice. I don't think people should put the blame on me for Joel's choices. It's unfair. The audience erupted in applause, and I started to get into my groove. The last question, if you could do it all over again, would you still choose to marry Joel? I thought for a moment and answered firmly, yes, because I don't have the ability to see the future, and I can't deny what we had because of what I know now. All I know is that 3 years ago, Joel truly loved Lisa, and 3 years ago, Lisa truly loved Joel, and that's enough. After the interview ended, Ai Ching looked at me, now full of spirit, and smiled. I thought I would see a bitter woman full of complaints, but I underestimated you. Lisa, I'm sorry. In the laughter and cheers, I became friends with the host. Just after getting my phone back, I received a message from Joel. I watched the show. I agreed to the divorce. Let's meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I was about to reply when he sent another message. Agreeing to the divorce doesn't mean I don't love you. On the contrary, Joel still loves Lisa even now. But I can't drag you down. I knew what he meant, the sky-high penalty fees. Even if we pooled together everything we had saved over the years, we wouldn't be able to repay it. Chapter 11. After the divorce, I signed up for acting training classes to improve my skills. One day, just as I was about to head out for a class, I received a letter. To be exact, it was a suicide note. To my beloved Lisa, this is the last time I'll call you that. After the online harassment, I hated you. I was even happy when the netizens were digging up dirt on you. I thought you would finally fall into the same mire as me, and we could stay together, hiding in the darkness, struggling. But then I realized that you didn't have any real dirt. You were still so perfect. Meanwhile, I lost myself in the dazzling colors of this tainted world. I read every hateful comment about me online. That's when I realized how wrong I had been all along. No wife would ever want her husband to have a child with another woman. Oh, and by the way, Elena's baby wasn't mine. I don't know whose it was, but I overheard her on the phone threatening another man, saying she would expose him as the biological father if he didn't give her money, ruining his reputation. I couldn't stand her destroying our once happy home, so I strangled her with my own hands. Her body is hidden in an abandoned factory in the southern outskirts of town. In my life, I've experienced lows and highs. I know I'm far from an upright person, but the brightest moment of my life was having you as my light. Farewell, my love. I'm going to make amends with our 2 children. May you have a life filled with peace and health. The note was signed as Joel's final words. After I reported everything to the police, I received a message from Bruno. I have a role that's perfect for you. Interested in giving it a shot? Of course. All I want is a fair chance.